Welcome to Breakfast Central. President Bola Tinubu yesterday swore in 3 additional ministers into his 48-person cabinet. Jamila Bio Ibrahim, Ayodele Olawande, and Balarabe Lawal took the oath of office at the Council Chamber of the State House before the start of the Federal Executive Council meeting, presided by the President.
Now, this comes nearly 2 weeks after the Senate cleared the trio after screening on October 4th, 2023. Monday's Federal Executive Council meeting is the second council gathering since President Tinubu assumed office on May 29th, and it comes after a 48-day hiatus. Now, of course, these have brought about numerous conversations, mostly about the size of the government that we're currently running, the size of members of this government and members of the cabinet. And if Nigeria can currently continue to afford these number of people on a government payroll, is this the same Nigeria? And this is the question. Is this the same Nigeria that claims to be interested in saving money or in cutting down the cost of governance? Is this the same country or is this a different one? And of course, there's also been loads of criticism and, questions as to why some of these new ministries, it feels like some ministries have been split into 2. New, ministries seem to be, even be set up, for people to handle. And of course, the conversations around that, are that it seems like the government is trying to simply get people employed, people who didn't necessarily have active roles in government in the past. And, they need somehow, some way to be plugged into government. Roles are being created for them. So once again, why does Nigeria need 48 people as members of the cabinet and even more? Because I don't think it's over yet. There might be another 5 more names that will be added in the next couple of weeks. And also the conversations concerning nepotism have also been mentioned. Is President Tinubu carried on from where President Buhari left off with, appointing people from a certain demography or a certain part of the country? These mostly are the conversations that have shaped these appointments. Will these people be able to perform? Do they have, what it takes to perform? Do they have the level of support that would be required for them to perform in their respective ministries, departments, and agencies?
The same thing that I watched an interview, or saw an excerpt of an interview that Mr. Falana had, and he talked about how he doesn't have any issue with the newly appointed EFCC chairman, for example, saying that his issue is not in terms of the man's qualification, it's not in terms of his ability to do the work or to be able to fill in the capacity he's been called into, but that his issue is with the fact that you can't have the head of 2 agencies such as the EFCC and ICPC from the Southwest. There has to be, for in the interest of federal character, if one is from the South, the other should be from the North. Yeah. And that's how it is. You create some sense of balance in the government. Anyway, we'll be looking at
I don't think any of those things have been considered.
No, I don't think so. We'll come back to this story to talk more about it. In the meantime, the Minister of Nigeria's newly created Ministry of Youths has tasked staff of the ministry to put in the best, saying there is so much work that needs to be done. Both ministers of the ministry assumed duties on Monday after they were sworn in at the Federal Executive Council meeting. They were received by directors and principal staff officers of the ministry. Let's take a look.
Following the swearing-in of a new Minister of Youth and Minister of State for Youth Development, both ministers arrived at the ministry shortly after the Federal Executive Council meeting, which held at the State House in Abuja. The permanent secretary received both ministers, intimating them of the operations and demands of the ministry, and pledged to work with the new ministers to meet up with their obligations as regards the renewed hope agenda of the president.
The ministry was established primarily to handle the challenges of youth in this nation. Our responsibility as a ministry centers around policy formulation, implementation, evaluation, as well as implementation of programs. And therefore, I want to use this opportunity to let you know that the Ministry of Youth is staffed by disciplined and competent staff. And by the special grace of God, will be at your beck and call as you strive to achieve implementation of the mandate handed over to you by Mr. President.
The minister called on the staff of the ministry to roll up their sleeves and work as a team, saying there is much work to be done.
The vision is clear. Our job has been clearly cut out for us, and we understand what we say when we say development. It means that holistic view, or holistic, yes, it cuts across, and it has to be a holistic, approach to development. And I believe that is what the mandate, I am certain that this is what the mandate of the youth development ministry says. I want to seek and appeal to you to please let us work together. Let myself and my colleague and the permanent secretary work together to serve you.
Marvelous Ogbonmwan reporting for News Central.
Anyway.
We're now joined by Honorable Tobiloke Shodipe-Dosunmu. He was a Labour Party candidate for the Lagos Island 01 House of Representatives in the 2023 general election. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Great to have you. We started the conversation this morning by, sharing some of the views that we've seen across Nigeria about how large, the current cabinet is, and it doesn't even seem to, likely end here. There's going to be more appointments and more people pulled into government. It seems also like there's new offices being created just to accommodate more people. Are these, is this picture, that I've painted true? What does this say to you?
I think the president has nominated about 39 male ministers and about 9 female ministers. That's about, in total, about 48, like you just mentioned. What we should talk about, I feel like, is what is this value to the economy? In 2021, our GDP was about 3.6%, and it dropped down to 3.3% by 2022. So economists have come together and said the only way Nigeria can move forward is if we can diversify our economy away from the oil. Please, I don't know if you're following me. The only way Nigeria can move forward is we can diversify our economy away from the oil. Now, this president now comes in, creates new parastatals. In order, for example, let's look at the Ministry of Mineral Resources that he had created, headed by Chief Ayodele Olawande. That's a new parastatal that is hoping that would definitely bring at least more income into our GDP, help us to grow our GDP away from our capitalization on the oil. We have capitalized too much on the oil, and now I feel it's time for us to move away from oil and move into something different.
But there's always been a solid minerals ministry. It's not new.
But that's a ministry that has never really taken so much effect. I feel like it is one thing. It's another ministry. It's a ministry that the president is looking at putting more effort in.
I agree with. So there's a possibility that he might have plans of putting more effort in it. But my point is, changing the name or renaming it doesn't necessarily, make it brand new. It has always been in existence, and they could have as well kept it the same way that it is, and do whatever needs to be done to revive that ministry.
Well, honestly, what I am thinking is another thing that I feel like we have a problem with is away from the whole ministry, the Mineral Resources Ministry, is employment. Creating more parastatals, creating more ministries means creating more. We all know that the public sector is the major employment creation center for the nation. So I feel like if we are going to talk about the disadvantages of creating more parastatals, we should look into talking about the advantages. Now, one of the advantages is the fact that these new ministries are being created, these new portfolios are being given. It therefore means that there will be new job opportunities for people to come in to work with. So I want us not look, we have a new president, fine, all well and good. I don't want us to look at just disadvantages. I want us to try and get it clear from the advantage point of view. If there are new ministries, it therefore means that there are new jobs coming in.
Yeah, but when you're talking about new jobs, are you talking new jobs for millions of people, or you're talking of new jobs for personal assistants and special advisors? Because now we're talking 48 ministers, they're going to have their essays, they're going to have their PAs, they're going to have their SSAs
SUVs as well.
Is that the new jobs you're referring to, or are we talking about?
What I am referring to here is obviously when we have new ministries, it therefore means that there'll be new parastatals, obviously. Yeah. Like for example, the Ministry of Mineral Resources, like I mentioned before, it therefore means that it's a new ministry entirely, meaning that there'll be new people that work on that. Not just it's not just the minister. People get this wrong. It's not just the minister and his essays. That parastatal in itself would create into a whole new ministry on its own. So therefore, to create more, we're looking at, with the new parastatal he has created, we're looking at least 30,000 new jobs.
How soon do you see this kicking off, and how soon can we do some sort of reflection to see how far we've come with this multiple job creation that you speak about?
Okay, well, first off, I'm not a party member, so I cannot say per se. What I would just say we should do is, let's give it time. This government is still fresh. It's not up to a year. So why don't we just give it time and look at where this is taking us? But that's where I want to see it from. Okay. Everybody is actually feeling this heat. I personally am feeling this heat of hardship in the country. Everything has skyrocketed, but we cannot say because of that we should just downplay this person.
Honorable, you are feeling this heat, but if we are being fair, some people are feeling this heat more than the others. The average Nigerian is feeling the heat much more than, the average Nigerian is certainly feeling the heat. There are people who cannot afford to have their 3 square meals. Some cannot even afford a meal. And that was the situation even before this current administration was sworn into power. Now things have gotten worse. As at the recent reports, inflation has skyrocketed. And that, of course, would be reflected in the cost of living. Is it a fair thing for Nigerians to actually complain about the robust size of the cabinet?
Well, I'm not saying like it is not wrong to complain. What I'm saying is, let's look at it at the advantage point of view. Now, what is the advantage of creating these new portfolios, these new parastatals? There'll be new creation of jobs. Now, for example, he has also been appointing a lot of youths in the whole cabinet system. There's this, I think the one for Interior, the current Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi. I think Dr. Olubunmi, I can't really phantom Olubunmi or something. I can't phantom the name at this point. He came into the seat and hit the ground running. As soon as he got there, he went straight on to the custom, the passport offices, and made sure in less than 2 months, they had cleared all the backlogs. Now, I'm saying there are new parastatals here. There's an exorbitant amount of ministries or ministers now, yes. But this is too soon for us to judge it. It is too soon. Nigeria cannot be headed by just one man. Nigeria can never be headed by just one man. And I feel like if you want a good outlook, we need to change the way things are being done. This is the first time that we'll have a government that will give us as much as 48 ministers. It's never happened before in the history of Nigeria. Even OBJ stopped at 42. The last government stopped at 42 also. So I feel like if we need something new, we need to look at it with a new approach.
Yeah, I mean, but there's also a possibility of reducing. I mean, the idea of changing or doing something new doesn't always have to be increasing the number of people that have to then earn from government. It doesn't always have to work that way. And we've also seen from the body language of government that they don't seem to have a lot of interest in cutting down the spending of government money. We're still having conversations about House of Rep members getting 130, 160 million naira SUVs each in the same Nigeria that is supposedly trying to cut down cost of governance. So can't you see how these things just don't add up? And it's not because, and it's not discrediting the possibility that when you have a new minister and a new face there, they would definitely be able to, there's a possibility they will be able to fix those ministries, no doubt. But leaving them the way that they were at 42 could still have been run effectively, if we are being honest. It could still have been run effectively. The challenge Nigeria has had is not the number of ministries. It is the political will to actually do what is right for those ministries. If you ask the next youth, ask around what the Minister of Youth has done for the young people in Nigeria today. The next 100 people that you speak with won't be able to give you an answer. I'm sure you know these things.
Yeah, I'm not on the side of the government, honestly. I just feel like if we're being positive, if the country can be positive, we will move positively. It's not like I'm sided with the APC government or anything. I'm actually a member of the Labour Party currently. So it's not like I'm trying to side with the APC as it is. But I personally, individually, just think the more positive we are as people, the more positive it starts to show and reflect in our society. I'm looking at President Bola Tinubu's administration, from a positive perspective. He has nominated 48 ministers. We are hearing he's going to still add more. Who has done this before? Nobody. This is a new approach. If this is a new approach, definitely it should bring something. It should bring about something new. So I'm just trying to look at this from the positive side of things. That's all I'm looking at.
Honorable.
He had not people that I know. I do not know the whole 48 people that are nominated. I just mentioned Dr. Olubumi, the Minister of Interior. Yeah?
Yes.
I just mentioned the Minister of Interior. And also, there's this other person. Okay, yeah. The former governor of Rivers State, the current minister of the FCT.
Yes,
Governor, Nyesom Wike. He got there, he has hit the ground running. So I feel like the new FEC that he has, that's the Federal Executive Council that he's trying to put about, he's trying to hit at something. So I'm saying, let's be positive. Let's give it time. At least in about 365 days or more, let's say a year and a half, then we can now decide, is this man really doing this for us? Or is there an ulterior?
Sorry, in how many days did you say again?
In about 365 days or more, that's a year. When he's been government for about a year, it's barely a year.
All right, Honorable, if you check between the time that the current administration got sworn into office and now, the Nigeria that we had then is not the Nigeria that we have now. As simple as the exchange rates. They received this current government, unfortunately, at a figure that we thought was even too high. I think it was about 700 already, the cost of the naira to the dollar, and now we have at 1,000 naira. What will happen in the next 1 year? What are the guarantees? How many people can wait? I don't know that the average Nigerian has 1 year to wait to see a change, to see increase in employment opportunities, to see the cost of living being reduced, to see that inflation comes down. I don't know that we have 1 year. I think that saying that we should wait for 1 year to see a change is a bit privileged, because not a lot of people have 1 year, have 5 months to give before they cave under the pressure. We're seeing a mass exodus of some of the brightest minds in the country because they're looking for greener pasture. So what do we say to the average Nigerian who is looking for they're looking for their daily bread? They can't afford to feed. They can't afford to buy food to eat. They can't even afford to buy fuel for their generator, for their businesses. And we're talking about what many refer to as an over-bloated cabinet. What would you say to that Nigerian?
Well, honestly, like I said before, I'm not siding the current administration. I'm only looking at the positive side of it. I feel I am touched by everything that's happening in government. I'm not in government, so it's not like I'm getting anything in particular from them. And it's really sad. I have a lot of people even up until now, calling me, asking for handouts and everything. So I know what it is out there. I know how it feels out there. I am just saying, we have, to be very honest, we can only give it time. I feel like that's the only thing that we can actually do. We can only give it time. The last time the NLC had promised to go on strike, to actually fight for us, they said they had to sit down with the government, that he said he was going to increase the minimum wage. I was still waiting for that. So in my own perspective, I just feel like the best way to go about this is be patient. Creating more ministries, for me, I feel, is creating more jobs. And if he's going to create more jobs, then why not? Why don't we just be patient?
Do you think, run question, do you think that your principal, the presidential candidate of your Labour Party, would have created 48?
It's not my principal. It's not my
Oh,
principal.
well, you're in the Labour Party, or you're, I mean...
Yeah, I'm in the Labour Party.
Okay, great. Do you think that Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, would have created 48 ministries or run government this way? And of course, I'm asking because I expect that you also believe in the ideals that Labour Party run itself with. So do you think they would have created 48 ministries? Do you think that they would have been proudly and boldly, buying cars for House of Rep members at a time like this when Nigeria is trying to save money? Do you think they maybe would have been giving out, billions of naira to states to share as palliatives and give people, little bags of rice and onions and oil here and there? Do you think that's what would have happened with your party?
Well, very honestly, Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Balarabe State, I call him the reformer. Everywhere I go, I always try to call him the reformer. He's a very different styled politician to President Bola Tinubu. They are two different people. Honestly, I do not think that he would have even, like he always says, he says the way they had just pulled down the subsidy was not the right way to go. At least would have given the people time to have a cushion effect, time to understand it. We would have actually even put in place all these palliatives.
Yeah, but do you agree that probably would have been a better way to do things?
Well, definitely. Honestly, definitely it would have been 100% better way to do so. But the person we have there had decided not to do it that way and do it in his own way. So I feel like what can we do? What more can we do? Although we are still in court, but away from the court process, this man is already there.
All right.
The one in power is the one in Abuja right now. So I feel like what we can do is...
Honorable, we unfortunately have run out of time, so we might have to ask that, to thank you and ask that you join us again in some other show. We'll definitely invite you again, but thank you so much, Honorable Tobiloke Shodipe-Dosunmu.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.